Hello everybody, and once again welcome to Synanomics, the money machine. Today I'm gonna start my analysis on one of the great companies who is going to be the next $3 trillion market cap companies in the Magnificent Seven. You must have guessed it by now. Yes, I'm gonna talk about Microsoft, MSFT, that's the ticker symbol. Guys, it actually closed last Friday at $376. And that actually gives it the market cap of $2.8 trillion. Yes, you heard that right. Almost $2.8 trillion. As the number of shares issued is around 18.7 million shares. It has performed fantastic in the last financial year, or last calendar year rather. Its 1 year return is 57%, not as great as the companies like Nvidia, etc. But its 5-year return, guys, is 269%. Yes, in the last 5 years, it has actually given 269% return. Well, in order to initiate my discussion, I will actually use the reference of its Q1 2024 earnings report that was announced on 24th of October 2023. Yes, it's the second quarter earnings report is pretty soon coming in January, by the way. Well, actually it exceeded all the market expectations, guys, and Microsoft Cloud strength has fueled its first quarter results. And not only that, even for the financial year 2023, the Microsoft Cloud has continuously shown growth of 20-21% year over year in all the 4 quarters roughly. Well, let's look at some of the financials before we go to the more analysis, in-depth analysis of the stock or the company. So revenue is actually reported a revenue of $56.5 billion, and that was an increase of 13%. And this was much better than the market's expectation of 54.5. And guess what? The gross margin is at 40 billion, and that is 71%. So the gross profit is 40 billion out of 56.5 billion. 71% gross profit, guys. Operating income was at $26.9 billion. Again, that increased 25%. Net income was $22.3 billion, and that was an increase of a whopping 27% year over year. Well, if you look at the major indices or the major parameters that we talk about, the diluted earnings per share, EPS, was almost $3, 2.99 to be precise. And that increased 27%, by the way. And when you look at the cash flow from operations, almost $30.6 billion, and that was a 32% growth year over year. Free cash flow, $20.7 billion, and that was again 22% increase. So the result was fantastic. Last but not the least, the cash and cash equivalent as well as the short-term investments in the balance sheet is $144 million. Guys, what else you can expect? This was a fantastic result, and that in fact fueled the price. Before this result, Microsoft was trading at 330, and now it's 376. So this $46 journey just happened after this Q1 result. Satya Nadella, who is the chairman and CEO of Microsoft, actually he mentioned that with the Copilot, Microsoft is making the age of AI, artificial intelligence, real for people and businesses everywhere. He also mentioned that Microsoft is rapidly infusing artificial intelligence across every layer of the tech stack for every role and businesses, and that's going to drive the productivity and the business for their customers. So guys, the main point is that I will cover in details a little bit later that all these things are actually happening on top of the AI infusion. Again, the CFO actually remarked that Microsoft cloud revenue of $31.8 billion was up 24% year over year. And let me explain that this cloud revenue includes everything. Their main segment, business segment, which is intelligent cloud they call it, plus the other ones as well that comes from the Windows or from the Office, etc. So cloud is actually fueling this whole thing. And we all know about OpenAI investment of almost $13 billion, etc. Again, they have invested in Australia $3.2 billion in the generative AI. Well, before we get into that, let's talk about the business highlights. So Microsoft actually segments its businesses in three different segments. One is intelligent cloud, and that has all those server products and the cloud services revenue, basically Azure, Microsoft Azure predominantly. And that revenue has grown almost 19%, guys, to $24.3 billion. The second one is basically the productivity and business processes. And this business actually takes care of all those Office, commercial, Office, MS Office, consumer, LinkedIn, Dynamic 365. And their productivity and business process revenue was $18.6 billion, and that actually increased 13%. And the third one, which they call it more personal computing, and that actually includes the Windows, all the devices, gaming, and the search engine. They are all collectively are called more personal computing, and their revenue was around $13.7 billion, and that was kind of 3% up. Not that impressive, but the point of the matter is that the cloud is actually fueling the growth. And you saw that the intelligent cloud has increased 19%. Having said that, the cloud component is also in the other two businesses, guys. So the productivity and the business process as well, there's a cloud component. Similarly, for the more personal computing business, when we talk about the Windows and all those, the cloud portion of that is there. And Windows actually grew 5%. Devices, all those Microsoft devices, their revenue has kind of declined to 2%. There's a decrease of 2% year over year. But hey, that is a very small part of the total Microsoft revenue. Gaming, on the other hand, which is Xbox predominantly, that has in fact increased 13% year over year. And the search engine and the advertisement and all those things, which is another smaller part of the whole scenario, has also increased around 10%. So across the board, in intelligent cloud, productivity and business processes, and more personal computing, it has actually given consistent growth year over year. And that made the market so delighted. Well, on top of that, Microsoft actually has returned $9.1 billion to the shareholders in terms of dividends and share buyback. In the first quarter of 2024, Q1 2024, which they actually announced, which actually closed on 30th of September 23. Well, this actually gives you a good picture of where Microsoft operates in. Many of us just think Microsoft is Windows, and then now we think about the Azure cloud. Well, let's do the analysis that where the growth is going to come, and then we'll also talk about some of the price targets as well. So Copilot conversions and monetization is going to happen sooner than expected. Yes, all this Azure cloud, they are going to actually Copilot AI there. And that's going to add $25 billion in the top line by 2025. And this is according to the analysts' expectation. So Dan Ives from Wedbush Securities, actually in one of the interviews, he said that based on his report, recent report, he thinks $25 billion will be added in the top line because of the Copilot. Not only that, for the Azure cloud, they are aggressively pushing AI, which is the need of the hour, by the way. So every $100 of Azure cloud spend, AI spend will be $30 to $40. So that's 30 to 40% of the cloud, Azure cloud spend will be AI. So guys, AI is going to change the cloud growth trajectory. And we all know that they have a strong competitive advantage in the cloud space as compared to their competition like Amazon and Google. Needless to say, they have invested or infused 13 billion investment in OpenAI. And as I mentioned earlier, $3.2 billion they have actually invested now in Australia for generative AI. Well, this does have a little bit of a risk there as well. It was in the news that New York Times has actually filed a lawsuit blaming Microsoft that they are actually using their copyright content in their large language models. I personally think that's not a big deal. They will settle it. It's not something huge. I just wanted to mention that because many of you must have heard about it. So I don't think that's going to actually impact the business trajectory and the growth trajectory or the growth story Microsoft is headed towards. Well, let's look at some of the ratios. The price earning ratio perspective is right now at 36, by the way, slightly higher. And as I told you, after the Q1 result, from $330, it has gone all the way to $376, guys. So from the price earning perspective, as compared to Apple or Amazon or even Google for that matter, this is slightly expensive, 36. Having said that, the return on equity is pretty cool, 39%. Return on invested capital sitting at 29%. So from all these parameters, this stock looks really cool. And when we talk about the price target actually varies from 400 to 600. Yes, you heard that right. Truist Securities actually has given a price target of $600, but that is for 3 years, guys, not for 1 year. And I don't think that's too high, because the 1 year target is pretty much at $450, and that's the target coming from Wedbush Securities' Dan Ives. He thinks it will be $450, and at that price you can actually calculate the market cap. The market cap will be way too high than $3 trillion. It will be around $3.6, $3.7 trillion. So if you look at the AI story from the chip perspective, from the GPU perspective, from the hardware perspective, it's an NVIDIA. That's the market leader, undisputed leader. And when it comes to cloud, OpenAI, GenAI, from the software perspective, Microsoft is a no-brainer. So if you guys don't have this stock in your portfolio as part of the Magnificent Seven, probably it's time to think about it. Having said that, don't forget to consult your financial advisor before making any investment decision, guys. All these analysis is out there from the Synanomics to create financial awareness so that you can understand the companies you want to invest in or you are invested in, and at the same time you can make an informed decision when you purchase these kind of companies and make money. So if you like this kind of content, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I'll come back again with other analysis of other companies. Stay tuned. Until then, it's a bye from your finance coach, Pankaj Sinha. Bye-bye.